Good morning. It's August the 16th here at the Case Place in northeast Oklahoma. We had a little shower going on early this morning, thunder and lightning everywhere, and very little rain, but a little bit of rain. We really had a lot of rain this spring, summer. Made it a whole nother level of difficult to get the haying done we needed to. A lot of our hay this year, the ground had to get dry enough we could drive on it without mashing the hay down in the wet ground. Didn't have that problem for the last 2 or 3 years, but it rained a little bit overnight. Got some new equipment I'm going to be taking video with. And, you know, these videos, sometimes you come out with one that's pretty decent, and then sometimes you come out with one like yesterday's where you couldn't hardly watch it because it's so shaky. I don't know, I blame that on coffee or not enough coffee or what. But today, it's early. It's about 7, almost 7:30. Scott usually shows up at 7:30. First thing we got to do today is clean out from under the mill. He got our, not orders, but what people would normally order from me for next week. Saw it out yesterday, so he can start on another custom order. I think we got enough logs to make the next custom order. And get started on it after we clean out. Dakota's going to get around with us and go down there and clean out with us. So I got to go get the skid steer ready. I work this job. It's kind of, this is what it looks like this morning. Kind of overcast. Not enough rain. Anything's muddy, but enough to get you wet if you're walking in it. This job seems to never end. I always have got stuff that needs done. Seems like there's almost always stuff that goes undone. But anyway, I was telling you I got some new equipment. I got a Rotella jug and a chip clip. I'm gonna tie you all up to it while we're cleaning out and see if you can see anything. That way, yeah, the weather on this thing, it's heated in the summer, air conditioned in the winter. And it seems like spring and fall shorter than ever. Sure enough, it's sprinkling this morning, and probably you'll hear thunder because it's been lightning. Let's stop and get these doors open. Getting sprinkles on my brand new iPad. I'd turn you around and take a picture of that iPad, but that's physically impossible. This kind of thing makes it really fun to go take care of my calves in the morning. Count my cows on this four-wheeler. Could be that later today Dakota and I may bust a little wood this morning. I'll get a video of that too. But for right now, we got to get around here where we can clean out. I've got to get the bucket on the skid loader. I love these skid loader quick attach deals. Them things work so good. Never thought I'd like one of these little jobbies, and now I don't know what I did before I had it. used to move or switch stuff on front end loader was a half an hour job, and I just switched attachments on this thing. Never even had to get out. I haven't got the latches throwed yet, but there'll be some young man come by here pretty quick, and I'll get him to throw those latches for me. Yeah, we work. A lot of people will go work out because their job doesn't require them any physical stamina, and we work outside, kind of like those Peterson Farm brothers. We work outside, man, and we are always on the go. Somebody is gonna come up and comment about making videos that I do so many different things, and I must be just doing this all for the video, but I haven't filmed anything that is not just regular day going on around here. One day you seen me doing chores, and then one day you seen me probably counting cows, and then cutting logs, and then sawing lumber, and then baling hay and stuff like that in the same day. And that's just regular goings-ons for us. We just do that kind of thing. I got two boys, and the oldest one's Scott, and the youngest one's Dakota. Dakota just turned 18 back in April, graduated high school. He went to technical school here for the last 2 years of his high school, for half a day of it, and got a certificate in diesel mechanics. And I'm really surprised about how very little of the basics of diesel mechanics they taught him. He come away from there not knowing how to overhaul a diesel motor, and the big end of all that is gotten so far away from me. It's computers and all this. I think that's one reason I really like the older equipment, like what I'm using now, is it doesn't it's not that it doesn't require knowledge, it's that the knowledge it requires is basic stuff that I've already got. My dad showed me how to overhaul motors and everything, and we worked on all our own stuff. I can't remember a time when I was growing up that he had to get somebody else to work on something, and we there was times when we figured things out the hard way, but that old equipment is stuff that a person can work on with just basic knowledge. A lot of people call it shade tree mechanicking, but there was a lot of times we used the garage in our house, and Dad had actually, when he built it, put a strong back up in the top of it so we could pull a motor by a chain in the top of the garage of the house, and things like that. Infield repairs. I was telling you about my 1086 and the troubles I had with it when we first got it. And that head on that 1086, 414 cubic inch International Harvester diesel motor, even with all the stuff stripped off from it, I think the head weighed maybe 300 pounds or something like that. And I stood up on the back of the pickup, and Dad watched me put it on there from standing on a bucket on the other side of the tractor. And there's all kinds of heavy stuff like that we've done, and you just figure out how to do it. I'd pull the head off of another one by holding the front end loader bucket on my tractor up over it and putting a chain falls on it. Even though the bucket was leaking off the whole time, we could still set the head down on that motor very gently and get it right where it needed to be. I think that's just one of those things that God's give us what we need. Dad never went to any technical schools. He learned it the hard way, and he probably had somebody that showed him, but it wasn't his dad. His dad didn't show him how to overhaul motors, from what my uncle had told me. He said that my granddad never really got into a whole bunch of that kind of stuff, but he and his brothers learned it. And my dad's now the only one living of his siblings, and He's in his 70s. Still gets around real good. I should have videoed it. We'd had a flat on his tractor when we was making hay and put the spare rear tire on it in the field. And I was actually baling when Scott was gone doing some mowing with it at one of the places he'd got to bale, and he had a flat over there on Dad's tractor. It's a 970 case for the cab. We use Kuhn 800 disc mowers to mow hay with, and that mower is really heavy. We've had a lot of trouble with the right rear tire on Dad's tractor. Had a couple flats and some other issues, but they had one, and we have a spare fixed up that fits those 18438 tractor rears. And they put the spare on it. Well, we got the other one fixed, and so we swapped it back. And them two boys of mine did just about all the work. I actually told them that I wanted the job where you lay down, so I laid down under it and jacked it up. And I didn't realize how much I was going to have to jack on the thing. I might have let one of them do it. By the time I was done, I had sweated all over my cardboard. Well, we're getting around a little slow this morning. This video might get a little long. Still sprinkling. Every time it rains, it makes me think about the grace of God and how He gives us what we don't by any means deserve. He's given us, here in the United States, and I realize that people all over the world may be watching this, but here in the United States, we live in a nation that's so blessed. It's easy to get employed and make a job where you can make money. And the things that are necessary for our life here today, I'm not talking about luxury items like cars and all of that, even though that seems to be more of a necessity than ever before, but even our fuel for our cars or our fuel for our bodies, food here in the United States is extremely easy to come by and reasonable. It's reasonable. A lot of people here in the United States will talk about certain foods and say, "Oh, that's college kid fare," like macaroni and cheese and Roman noodles. We joke about that a lot. I don't know about now, but I think you can probably still go buy enough Roman noodles that you could feast on those for a day for about $1. Even if you don't have a way to prepare any food, there are restaurants here around me anyway. We can drive 7 miles in almost any direction and get to a place that serves some kind of food, and a lot of it's pretty cheap. You can buy a little hamburger for $1 and things like that. And I may just take off and rant a little while. We've got some people around here that think it's the right thing to do to go and sit on a corner and tell people a story about how bad you've got it and let them give you money. And it kind of irks me a little bit to see people doing that. And those folks, they're not stupid. They'll tell you, oh no, this is, if you try to offer them a job where they have to work for their living, they'll say, no, this is my job. And there's one particular one around in here that he's up by Joplin. They actually did a news clip on him on one of our local TV newscasts, and he said on that newscast, I can make more money doing this, sitting along the road up here and begging, and he's got a strip of grass wore off beside the road where he goes and does this, and he wears disguises so he looks like a different person, so people that come by there every day even will give him money. He's usually got a dog with him, one of the best fed dogs I've ever seen, because he won't eat any of the food that people bring him. And there was actually a picture on one of the TV channels of how he had took and threw the food on the ground unopened that people would give him, and his dog had chewed through it and left the trash. He wouldn't even open that stuff for his dog. And the problem is he's not disabled. He's lazy. He just don't want to work. There's an elderly lady at my church that will tell you, she says, even today, I'm mostly blind, and I think if I needed a job, I could leave the house and not come back till I had one. And that was how she supported her family. She raised several kids waiting tables. There's nothing wrong with that kind of job. You'll notice the kind of job we've got around here, even though we're self-employed. We do dirty stuff. That's what you was going to witness this morning when these guys get around here. We do a lot of dirty work. And a lot of the dirty work we do just so we can keep doing other dirty work. And when I take a bath in the evening, a lot of the time, or a shower, you can watch the floor of my shower is a concrete floor of the house, and you can watch the mud roll off of me on that floor from standing there where I'm showering. And I wash my clothes every evening, and sometimes they come out and they don't look like it because they're so stained from sweat and dirt. But that's an honest living, and that's what this country was built on. We need more people who will make an honest living. Sitting beside a road and begging ain't where it's at. And I realize there's people who need that kind of help, but that ain't the place to go get it, sitting beside the road and begging. They ought to run him off. Not only that, he tells lies about how he's disabled and things like that. And I've noticed that several of these guys will take and pull out the veteran card. Now I realize there could be veterans out there that are disabled, but I want to tell you, most of those guys know what it takes to make a living, and they're willing to go out and do it even though they're not able to do it like what a well-abled young man like me is. I use that term young very loose, don't I? I'm not feeling it. If I don't have my coffee in the morning, I can't function. But anyway, I don't think it's right. What do you think? Put a comment down there. I'm telling you, I realize there's people who need that. But there's a lot of people who are sitting alongside the road begging that are well-able-bodied folks. And that old boy, when they interviewed him, this one up here by Joplin, when they interviewed him on TV, they went to his house. He had a nicer house than I do. And the reason he could have a nicer house than I do is that people stop and give him money, and he calls it a gift, and it's non-taxable because it's a gift, and he don't have to declare any of it or pay taxes on any of it. And my guess is somehow he's even working the system. He probably gets a Social Security disability check. He wasn't willing to say so or not on TV. But I do have some friends that stopped and offered him a job. He looked right at him. He said, "This is my job. Work? This is my work. That ain't work. That ain't work. That's begging. That should be reserved." And I give to people who need help, and I want to help folks indeed. But God's grace is sufficient in my time of need. I need things that are not monetary from God. I was reading in Proverbs today that the strength of a man is given to him from God. I have to get my strength from him. He's all sufficient. Paul wrote in Scripture that he had a problem. He prayed God to take it away from him, and God wouldn't take it away from him, but God said, my grace is sufficient for you. So may you all experience the grace of my Lord Jesus Christ today. And if you're one of those guys that sits beside the road and takes money from people, quit it. Get an honest job. Make an honest living. And there's rewards from that can't be counted. You got to live for the future. This life's very fleeting. It's gone in a flash. The Bible says it's a vapor. It's only here for a moment, and then it's gone. And in the times to come, we will be accountable for what we've done while we're here in this life. Hope you have a great day. I'm going to quit right now. We'll probably get some video here in a little bit of cleaning up under the mill. My help's a little slow and showing up this morning. That's all right. It's kind of a rainy Friday morning. And I like humor, so we'll finish with a little humor. It was young lady. I won't tell you what the color of her hair was, but you can probably guess. There was a young lady that wasn't real bright that come to Friday, and she seen that somebody had wrote TGIF on a post-it note and put it on the door to her office and where she was secretarying at, and she tears that off, and she's like, why would they put this on the front of the door? I thought you were supposed to put it on the tops of your shoes. And her boss says, that means thank goodness it's Friday. What did you think it means? And she says, oh, I thought it meant toes go in first. Catch you later.